Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe to this channel right now. In a couple of seconds, you will hear from numerous sources about Democrats abandoning the president that they voted for, the person who won their nomination process. It's a complete farce, a theatrical performance. I'm going to explain and hit subscribe right now in 60 seconds why Hillary Clinton will replace Biden and face Trump and lose again. Number one, they don't have a primary. It's a political machine. They're a political machine. It's a theatrical performance. There are no rules and regulations or guidelines. The DNC can make things up as they go along. NBC News, 4 more Democrats in Congress call for Biden to step aside in 2024 contest. He won his primary. Why are they doing this? Well, the debate showed that he's one fry short of a Happy Meal and the lights are on but nobody's home. Everyone knew this. And so they don't have anyone else but Hillary Clinton. I'll explain. Number two, it was a theatrical performance the entire time. He debated Trump specifically so the world could see that he was not up for the task of actually being president or even running in 24. This gives them enough time until late August to catapult or nominate or coronate Hillary Clinton. Number two, it's not going to be Newsom or Whitmer or the former First Lady, and it's not going to be Biden or Kamala Harris. They can remain as president and vice president. Number three, the people who are going to vote or decide are donors, superdelegates, party officials. These are all people beholden to the Clintons, President Obama. Those are the 3 most powerful people in the political machine. Clinton, number 3, comes with a built-in base of support. So she can raise money, but she comes with a built-in base of support. Throughout the country, she has national recognition. She's far more eloquent, even though, look, she committed crimes with private servers. Top secret intelligence transferred on to private servers illegally is impossible to do from a cybersecurity perspective. Look at the process of elimination. Number 4, use basic logic and reason. Hit subscribe to this channel. You'll hear exactly why in a couple of seconds from really awesome, amazing people. Use basic process of elimination and use your kepi, use your mind and your brain, and just process of elimination. Does Newsom or Whitmer or the former First Lady or anyone else, do they have the influence, the ability to raise tens, hundreds of millions of dollars in a short time? Do they have the national recognition? The entire Trump-Russia episode was created by Clinton, the Clinton campaign, and the DNC, and they were fined by the FEC for purchasing the Steele dossier. The entire hoax that you saw for the last 7 years was trying to explain how Clinton lost. Number 5, or 4 or 5, wherever I'm at, they almost won in 2016. Then they said the Ruskies stole it from them and they created an absurd Cold War fantasy. So there are millions of people, and number 7, 6 or 7, it doesn't matter if you don't like Clinton. Everyone knows that the Clintons for years have actually did commit crimes. You can look at Bill with lying under oath, perjury. Oh, what is okay, so that's an actual crime. To be fair, the 8 years of Bill Clinton, the economy was good. So even I love Trump, I'm just going to be objective. The economy was a good economy under Bill Clinton. But Hillary Clinton, President Obama, Biden destroyed with a failed intervention Libya. We can go on forever. The servers issue was a national security and cybersecurity nightmare. Number 8. I don't even know, where am I now? Number 8, it's going to be a convention that is called an open convention or whatever. Here, you just saw they don't, court concedes, DNC, this is an Observer article, had the right to cheat Bernie Sanders. They stated in court that they could pick their candidate in smoke-filled back rooms. They don't need a nomination process. Number 9 and 10, whatever. I don't even know where I'm at. But it doesn't matter, does it? The point is, Trump will win again. I mean, he could lose. He could lose. God forbid, he could lose. I want record low poverty, record highs in household median income. I want a president who stands up to media, intel agencies, bureaucrats, multilateral or multinational organizations. I want a president who puts the interests of the United States of America and Americans first and foremost, like Donald J. Trump. He could still lose to Clinton. He can't lose to Newsom or Whitmer or anyone else. It's process of elimination, ladies and gentlemen. It's process of elimination. And you look, this is all by design. But let's just listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, hit subscribe right now to my super chat. Thank you. I know people don't want to hear this. I know they don't like, thinking that Clinton will come back, but it doesn't matter what you and I like. They don't like Trump, but actually Trump is more revered and admired throughout the country than Clinton is by a wide margin, okay? I can explain that later. But the same people who say, oh my God, not Clinton. There's people who say, oh my God, not Trump. It's Godzilla versus King Kong. It doesn't matter. It's the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. You have two people with built-in voting bases. Okay? And then the independents, they say independents who lean left will likely vote Democrat. Independents who lean right will vote for Trump. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. And it comes down to political machines in the Rust Belt. And I don't think what's taking place, there'll probably be a stock market crash before then, so Trump will win in a landslide. But you know what? If the Rust Belt states, if their political machines rally around Hillary Clinton, she could become president. Anyway, I was right. I've been right about pretty much everything the past 6 months. And I'm telling you, it's going to be Hillary Clinton versus Trump. Hit subscribe.
Publicly calling for President Biden to step aside as his campaign faces mounting pressure following that ABC News interview that was supposed to get him in better shape. Well, it didn't work.
No, it did not. Madeline Rivera is now in Washington with all the details for us. Maddie?
Hi, good morning, guys.
Morning.
At least one House Democrat isn't mincing words about the chaos they'll likely face today. Check out this quote from Axios. The blank is going to hit the fan on Monday when Congress returns, a House Democrat told the outlet. People are scared about their own races, but they're also worried about the country and about democracy. At least 5 House Democrats have gone public with their calls for the president to step aside, but there is a lot more frustration churning behind closed doors. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries had a virtual meeting with ranking House Committee Dems on Sunday. Several of them voiced concerns.
When Jerry Nadler wants Biden out, who do you think he's supporting? It's not California or Michigan's governors. Okay? It's not the former First Lady. It's Hillary. She's coming back. And I'm telling you, it's going to be fantastic.
About the president's viability. Congressman Jerry Nadler, Adam Smith, Mark Takano, and Joe Morrell reportedly said the president should drop out. Many Democrats taking issue with some of the things the president said in his exclusive interview with ABC News anchor George Stephanopoulos.
I did events in North Carolina. I did events in Georgia. Did events like this today. Large crowds, overwhelming response.
Where was the Mediterranean spray tan when he went up against Trump? Do you think this was an accident? It's by design. They all saw Richard Nixon versus Kennedy. It's by design. My God, all you have to do is look. they've already told people in court they don't need an actual nomination process. If you were like went back in time and you and your friends were on a tree, were in a tree house, and you were like deciding to start a club, and you were like, oh, I'm the president. No, I'm the vice president. Oh, okay, I'll be the treasurer. That is more of a legitimate process than the completely fabricated theatrical performance farce of a DNC primary, which is the exact antithesis of democracy. They don't have any guidelines or rules or regulations or codes or anything. It's all made up. That's why Biden literally won his primary. What they're doing to Biden is infinitely worse than they did to Bernie Sanders, and they cheated Bernie Sanders. And then they made him say, Vladimir, I don't want your help, because then he was in on the whole nonsense. They crush people. That's how they roll. They crush people who sold their soul to politics. If you sold your soul, okay, to the Democratic Party, or, I'm not saying it's the same equivalent, but to the devil, okay, you might get the Corvette, you might get the Lamborghini, you might get the yacht, okay, but you might be in the next episode of Jaws. Or God forbid something, you might not, survive the Lamborghini. So if you sell your soul to achieve something, you've given up everything, and you're never really going to achieve that anyway. So, but Biden, Bernie Sanders, they roll with the Democratic Party. They run with the Democratic Party. It's a machine. The machine giveth, the machine taketh. And that's it. So again, who do you think is more influential? Governors that don't have national appeal, or Hillary Clinton, who almost won in 2016?
No slipping. And so I just had a bad night. I don't know why.
The president's schedule is chock full of official and campaign events in the next 2 weeks. The next big item on his agenda is the NATO summit, which kicks off.
He'll remain president. By the way, what do you want this man to do, ladies and gentlemen? Not my viewers, but people who just stumble upon the channel. Oh, this is a supporter of Trump who just wishes Hillary Clinton would run. Well, it's like, she's going to be opposite Trump. I don't see anyone else that could even possibly win. But what do you want Biden to do? Say, okay, bye. It's been a good theatrical performance. Of course he's going to say, no, man, come on, cornflakes. Come on, man. I want to stay, man. I had a bad night. The check's in the mail. It was 9% inflation. Oh, come on, man. Forgive me, man. I had a bad night, man. No. What do you want him to do? Just give up in 2 seconds? I mean, in a theater performance, or in a movie or play, or, a sitcom, there is a script. You have to read a script. What do you want him to do? Not read the script? This is part of the script. This is where he says, I'm not leaving, man. Come on, man. Come on, cornflakes. That's the part of the script. So eventually, he'll be told, okay, this is your next scene, and this is all the Truman Show. We're in the Truman Show. Actually, we're not, because I'm telling you what's really going on.
Off in D.C. tomorrow. He'll deliver speeches in Las Vegas next week as counter-programming to the Republican National Convention. And the Biden campaign adding more trips to battleground states this month to try and quiet the noise regarding the president's physical and mental stamina. Steve, Ainsley, and Guy.
So, Madeline, that Axios quote about how the S is going to hit the fan today, it's because Congress is coming back today. And all those members of Congress, they're worried about not only their party on the Democratic side, but they're worried about their own jobs.
They're worried about down ballot races in the fall for sure, Steve. That's one of the big concerns among so many House Democrats. And I'm sure the hallways of Congress today will be filled with reporters hounding Democrats about what the president is planning to do next.
You can count on that. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Maddie. The media is acting like it is such a big surprise. They've been protecting him, covering up, sending notes. Axio also released this information of these big note cards that he carries with him with big pictures of podiums and hallways and says, walk toward the podium. And so they're trying
Podium.
Exactly. They have been protecting him for so long, but they couldn't protect him at that debate. He had to have a debate against his opponent, Donald Trump, and he did. And we saw what the Republicans have been worried about. Here it is. Yeah.
Walk to podium, and there's the other side.
There it is.
That's the first part.
These large pictures.
Where do I go?
If this were Trump, every late night comedian would be so mean-spirited, vicious. Every liberal, morally superior liberal late night comedian that lectures the country on ethics and morality, they would take off the gloves. They'd be vicious. The vitriol and venom and just nastiness. They wouldn't stop making fun of Trump. But notice that Republicans or conservatives or Trump supporters, we're not really doing that. I'm not doing that. I feel bad for Biden, and I wish him only the best. God bless him. But it's like, it's an embarrassment to the country because you have a political party and all of media trying to now rewrite history. They hid what we all saw in plain sight, then tried to tell everyone they were nuts for thinking that the president was one fry short of a Happy Meal. The lights were on, but nobody's home. Now, they've, of course, turned a corner, and the script is, oh, my God, we have to replace him. And again, it's going to be Hillary Clinton.
Well, go over there.
But now they can't protect him from this. And so the media is changing their tune. You have so many lawmakers that are now saying that they think he should step down. Some advisors, you have David Axelrod, the former Obama advisor. He's predicting that Biden is heading for a landslide defeat.
Well, look, the pivot has been extraordinary, right? All the way up until about 20 minutes into that debate a few weeks ago, it was everything's fine. These are right-wing smears.
20 seconds.
Yeah, but I would say especially the big first
It's not
malfunction.
getting any better.
Yeah.
Right.
Then the panic set in and the text messages started going everywhere. Up until that moment, it was just reassurances, gaslighting, cheap fakes, all of it. And we were the crazy ones. There was a Fox News story, is all made up. And then on a dime, it went to, oh bleep, we have to do something about this. After 14 million people have voted for Joe Biden in a non-contested primary, all the warning signs were there for years. They insisted none of that was true or real, and now they are stuck in a very small time box.
It's actually brilliant. It's an uncontested primary. It's brilliant. He wins an uncontested primary. They keep the truth hidden for about close to 4 years. Then suddenly they say, oh my God, we care about you. Oh my God. And the entire world sees, without a shadow of a doubt, that the current president has major issues, unfortunately. Then they say, oh, now we care. After they forced this man, catapulted this man into a position that he shouldn't have been in the first place. He won an uncontested primary. What could be better for Clinton? And then it's very easy. He remains president. Kamala Harris remains vice president. Hillary becomes nominee. Superdelegates, donors, whatever. It really doesn't matter. There's no rules anyway. They just make things up. Okay? Here, this is court concedes. DNC had the right to cheat Sanders. Okay? I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. Okay? I wanted great economy and an anti-war foreign policy. I got that with Trump. I got that with Donald Trump. Okay? First president to step foot in North Korea. Doha Agreement he negotiated to bring Americans home from the longest-running counterinsurgency conflict that Biden, Clinton, Kerry, Bush, Cheney, Bush, Cheney, Rumsfeld, Clinton, Kerry sent them to. And then President Obama continued Bush's failed military policies or foreign policy. And so I want somebody who doesn't kowtow or succumb to endless military conflict in Trump. Okay, if I could go back, I would have written about Trump. But I wrote, unfortunately, about Bernie Sanders, who essentially was a tool of the Democratic Party. So much so, he didn't even try to run during this primary. He's like, I can't get railroaded for the fifth, sixth time in a row. So forget about it. I don't want the Michigas. No problem. So, okay, I'm telling you, look, this is the other month. This is last month. And God bless her. She's going to be opposite Trump in 24 November. She could possibly win. Granted, committed numerous obvious crimes with servers and top secret intel. It's impossible from a cybersecurity perspective to transfer top secret intelligence onto servers, but liberal Democratic pundits don't understand this. It's kind of like explaining physics to a house cat. It'll never work out. So if you try to explain how illegal and how impossible it is from a cybersecurity perspective, they won't understand. But anyway, let's continue. This is just a month ago, by the way.
Yet, I don't know that people are really getting their arms around just what a threat a democracy, American democracy, the American experiment is facing right now. Help us out with that, if you will.
You know, Joe, I think you make a really important point. I mean, it's one thing to cover the circus, and the circus is covered. I mean, people can't stop covering the circus. Every utterance, every insult, every outrageous action or comment, it gets covered. The context is often missing. What does that really mean? And I think it's imperative, especially for members of the press who understand, as you were just pointing out, the world has been here before. People did not take the kind of threats that we saw in the 1930s as seriously as they should, including American journalists. You know, people were taking at face value.
Trump signed prison reform legislation. He allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever, moved the embassy to Jerusalem, signed the Doha Agreement that brought Americans home from never-ending military conflict that Biden completely botched because it was a May 1st, 2021 withdrawal. Trump is not only an anti-war president, but he has zero impact. He has zero influence within media or intel agencies. Really, he didn't have that much influence within his own government. He's not a very good authoritarian or despot. But authoritarians, despots, totalitarians don't usually sign prison reform legislation. They don't usually bring home soldiers as opposed to sending them everywhere the way Democrats and traditional Republicans would want. But anyway, let's continue. She's running. She could possibly win. I'm telling you, she could possibly win. Okay? She could be president. All she needs is Michigan. Yeah, all she needs is, well, she needs Virginia, but all she needs is Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. Okay? Biden will lose all of them, or like two or three of them. But she could win 2 or 3. If you look at the map, she just has to win about 3 and then definitely get Virginia, which I think she could. It could be very close with Hillary. She could possibly win. Now, I don't think she will. I think Trump will win. But if she loses, she'll write another book and then blame another country, and it's all good. She will have already, made, fundraised and gained the status of, hey, you know what? You could always say, I lost. Oh, you know what? I lost again. No big deal. It's, I'm trying. At least there's no shame in trying. And so that could be the new marketing spin. Anyway, let's continue.
That, this can be controlled. He may have said some outrageous things, but the institutions will hold. A determined demagogue, unfortunately supported by members of his political party, other enablers, people who care more about a future tax cut than the sanctity of the Constitution, are falling in line behind him. They are trying to excuse some of the most outrageous things that you just recited. And I don't think the press has done enough to basically say, okay, the circus is here. You can watch the circus, but let's tell you what that means. Let's talk to people who have a real understanding of how dictatorships evolve. Let's look at the people that he admires and what they've already done. You know, back in 2016, we didn't have interviews with him. We didn't have a track record of 4 years in office. You know, there was a lot of speculation, and, you know, I understood that people wouldn't take what I said necessarily as gospel about what I thought could happen. I get that. But now we know. We've seen him and we've heard him.
Trump is going to face Hillary Clinton in 24, ladies and gentlemen. Somehow, some way, it's going to happen. Somehow, some way, it's going to happen. Rob, thank you so very much. To be VP because VP isn't elected. If something happens, suppose the VP completes the president. I don't think so, because that's true. I don't know. I don't know if that's possible. Rob, thank you so very, very much. Thank you, Rob. Greatly appreciate it. To my super chat, thank you. It's happening, everybody. Thank you, Rob. Thank you again. It's happening.
On TV, the panicked chorus of media voices only grew louder. Take a listen.
His performance was, I sat there and watched it, and I could not believe it.
By the way, American media is an extension of the Democratic Party. They've been a mouthpiece or echo chamber or megaphone since 2016. Prior to 2016, you would get political articles on Paul Ryan working out. Prior to 2016, you'd get maybe the Republican who could be person of the year. That will never happen now in today's media. Journalists or activists, the New York Times, the Washington Post, MSNBC, CNN, The Atlantic, New Yorker, New York Magazine, these are all like every editor and journalist is a lifelong liberal Democrat who despises Trump. And so when media is saying, well, Biden, oh my God, it's a concerted effort. There doesn't need to be a memo. They're all liberal Democrats. The groupthink is very powerful. It takes less than a half an hour or one evening for them to go, everything's fine with Biden. That's a Republican conspiratorial nonsense to, oh my God, we have to have an open convention and remove Biden. It doesn't, they don't need a memo. It takes 2 seconds. And by the way, when Clinton was saying, oh, he's an authoritarian, it was Democrats in New York, used to be Tammany Hall, it still is, who convicted Trump of a crime in a state court, a federal crime that doesn't even exist. There's no federal crime. It's unconstitutional. It's going to be overturned. The FEC and Department of Justice dropped the case, and every former FEC chairman, Federal Election Commission chairman, said that Trump did not break the law. Furthermore, it was Clinton and the DNC who got an FEC fine. It wasn't Trump. Trump was convicted in a place. They talk about the way Democrats work is they utilize media and legal technicalities to go after their direct political rivals. Anyway, let's continue.
I said, not only is this a political hydrogen bomb for him and the Democratic Party, what happened? What happened?
Is Joe Biden the person?
What happened was that every journalist became an activist within the Democratic Party who deliberately hid the truth from the American public or lied by omission. What happened is that the media lied by omission. They would give sound bites of Biden. They wouldn't dare give 2 hours straight of him, and they did finally. And suddenly it was like pulling the curtain to the side and seeing, oh my God. But we all knew this. Again, media defends at all costs the Democratic Party. And if you see what they're doing to Biden now, this is all by design.
who can stop Donald Trump or somebody like Trump who gets the Republican nomination. That's what he's got to. He's got to look in the mirror, search his soul, and make that decision. And I wanted to raise that question. I'd like him to think that through carefully because I have my concerns.
Here now with reaction, our former RNC chair, Reince Priebus, and former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee. Welcome, gentlemen. Governor Huckabee, you know your way around a debate stage. This blaming of staff for Joe Biden presenting as too old, for having the vacant look in his eyes, for allowing numbers to numb his brain. I mean, he could have gotten a doctor's note. They're saying he had a cold. I think if you take away the C, you get more of the answer here. But how do you see this? And do you think people will forget this debate performance and start focusing on the issues or start giving Joe Biden a little bit of grace?
We all saw, this is, again, I'm not poking fun at anyone, although they would if Trump did this. See, this is the reality we live in. You have all of American media, half the electorate, technically more than half the electorate, who will suspend logic for 4 years. Literally suspend logic and think that this gentleman was capable of running the most powerful country in the world. Then, within one night, they come to the conclusion that, oh my goodness, what happened? They want us to believe that they didn't know and that they weren't protecting and they weren't defending the Democratic Party. They weren't lying by omission. They weren't deceiving the country every single day. If you try, I mean, anyone who trusts media at this point, I don't know what to tell you.
I think that there's no one to blame but Joe Biden. As a person who has been on the debate stage, the truth is you can have all these people talking to you and telling you what you ought to do and not ought to do, but you're the one that walks out there. And you also have the right to look at every one of them and tell them to shut up. I don't want to hear any more out of you. And sometimes that is the best thing to do, is to tell all the people who think they know what you should do to just leave you alone and let you go out there and do your thing. But they couldn't do that. And this nonsense about he had a cold and that's why he was so raspy and he couldn't get his thoughts together. Every one of us know that if he'd really been sick in that 8-day sequestering up at Camp David, they would have talked about that every day. He's going to be there, even though he's going to have to push through how sick he is. Look, let's just be realistic here. There is a run on toilet paper in D.C. because of that performance last week, because the Democrats, well, let's just say they're having a rough week too, trying to decide how to deal with what is an absolute meltdown. And we're all seeing it.
Yes, and some of us are enjoying it. Couldn't happen to a nicer crew. Reince Priebus, you've been the RNC chair, you're White House chief of staff. You have a big hand in this month's convention out in Milwaukee. You've been in the room to prep candidates for debates, including President Trump. Now, he preps just by not having a podium or lighting. He preps by doing these rallies and these interviews and whatnot. But I'm very curious about the blaming of staff, particularly. Isn't that a risk that they're taking? The staff knows him best. The staff has been covering for him and his lack of acuity and agility for a very long time.
Well, you're right, Kellyanne. And you and I did debate prep in 2016. And it's ridiculous to blame the staff for this kind of performance because, you know, he came out in the first 30 seconds and everyone knew something was wrong. He wasn't making any sense. When you do basic debate prep, it's not that complicated. Number one, hey, there's a split screen. When the camera's not on you, or when you're not speaking, you have to act like everyone's watching you because there's a split screen. Hey, you're going to get attacked on immigration, the economy, and inflation. You've got 3 canned answers. He couldn't deliver any of it, and it's a cover-up. You're exactly right. The whole thing's a cover-up, and by blaming staff, you just make it worse. And you know these reporters that are talking about he needs to get out, what they really need to do is find out why. I think Bob Woodward, if you kept playing his interview, he said it well, which is, look, this was so impossibly bad that these reporters ought to figure out why was it so bad? What is the real answer? What really is going on?
They hid the truth. They tried their best to hide the truth for 4 years. We all knew this. We knew this in 2019. We knew this. Everyone was saying he's making up words. How can this man be catapulted into the Oval Office? He's literally slurring his speech and making up words. Okay, but they did this just like they cheated Bernie Sanders, just like they said Trump was a Kremlin operative. When media is at their loudest, they're always at their most deceitful.
With the president of the United States, if Scotty Scheffler shot 120 yesterday, no one would be saying, well, he had a cold, he had a bad day. No, they would be asking the question. And no one is asking this question. What is going on with Joe Biden?
Governor Huckabee, we're all scratching our head. We can chuckle a little bit, but the serious point is the world leaders are also watching this. And I'd like your perspective on that.
Yeah, I think you're right. We have to recognize the serious part is that we're not the only ones watching. And we're not the only ones who have been watching. President Xi's been watching. Putin watches. Kim Jong-un watches. They all look at this. I think the reason that they never went into Ukraine.
By the way, this could usher in a stock market crash. If Democrats prolong this, people are going to look and say, is the country stable? Because the Democrats are used to just doing whatever they want. Here's an example, okay? This is how Hillary Clinton becomes president, right here.
While President Biden and his team have repeatedly stressed that he will not drop out of the 2024 race.
Of course, that's part of the theatrical performance. He's definitely already out, done. He's essentially resigned, withdrawn from the nomination. It will be Hillary Clinton, and here's why.
A growing number are calling on him to step aside. So we wanted to take a closer look at what options Democrats could have if Biden changes his mind before the official Democratic Party nomination this August. Let me show you. There are 3 different convention options, as you see here. First, the brokered convention. That happens when a candidate does not win on the first ballot taken at the convention. At that point, delegates are released, and then behind-the-scene negotiations begin with the so-called power brokers. Now, they end up picking the winner.
This is all stuff that's made up, basically, essentially. He won the nomination. If he won the nomination, they have no right to actually remove Biden, and they're actually dismantling their political party right before our eyes, which is quite amusing. But they've already won. He's already won the nomination, which is not even legitimate. They don't even have a legitimate political party. But anyway, here, court concedes the DNC had right to cheat Bernie Sanders. They can make things up as they go along. The good thing here is that the interesting thing, I should say, is that these are the alternatives that Democrats can engage within that are essentially just different scenes within a long-running theatrical performance called the DNC primary. But let's continue. It's not going to take a lot. Hillary Clinton, it'll take her not even a day or two in the convention to lock up the nomination. It'll be Trump, Hillary, and it will be a media extravaganza.
Winner, which is why it's called the brokered convention. Second, the contested convention. It's similar, but instead, a politician tries to take votes from the candidate in the lead before the first ballot if it looks like the results will be close. Ultimately, though, there's only one ballot. And finally, the open convention. This one is more of a free-for-all. It's when no candidate has a majority of delegates pledged to them at the start of the week. And when this happens, every candidate in the running makes their case to the thousands of Democratic delegates to back them on a ballot. Now, if Biden...
This is how the delegates within the Democratic Party work. They're either politicians, maybe donors, party officials, but they're all politicians. Hillary says, "Hey, I'll help fund your campaign." Oh, you know what? My vote is, I'm still thinking, it's going to be Hillary Clinton. So where's the fundraising coming from? Is it coming from Whitmer or California's governor? No, it's coming from the Clintons. That's why Politico ran stories titled Inside the DNC Takeover, Inside Hillary Clinton's DNC Takeover. It's still the same political party it was in 2016. We're actually still living in 2016. This is a quantum physics type of reality, and I'm actually a hologram from 2016. We haven't moved past 2016, okay? I don't know why they didn't replace mashed potato with Hillary 4 years ago. I don't really know why. I don't care. But there's no stopping Hillary Clinton this time around. It'll be Hillary Trump. I give her 10% chance of winning, actually. She has a 10% chance in my view, maybe even 15. I give Trump 85%. He'll win. He'll win. But Clinton will lose again, blame another country, and then write many books and then be, a hero within the Democratic Party.
If Biden were to drop out, the convention in Chicago would become probably an open convention. Now, all three of these scenarios have happened before. They're not common, though. It's been over 60 years since the last brokered convention when Democrat Adlai Stephens won on the third ballot. There have been a few contested conventions since then, with the most recent being Senator Ted Kennedy and then President Jimmy Carter in 1980. And finally, the longest convention in American history was also the last fully open convention. As you can see, it took place in 1924. It took more than 2 weeks and 103 ballots to pick a winner, John W. Davis, who ended up losing to Calvin Coolidge. Now, the political parties really try to avoid these conventions because they can be a warning sign for a general election loss. Pew Research Center found that between 1868 and 1984,
this is how it's going to work, okay? I'll tell you how the Democrats operate. I know I was a lifelong Democrat, okay? Up until about 5-6 years ago. Okay, 7 years ago. This is how it works. They spend the next week, week and a half, 2 weeks, trying to convince, the president to drop out of the nomination. Finally, he gives a speech 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. Hey, man, cornflakes, man. I'm out of, you know what, man? It's, it's tough, but I had too much cornflakes. I also defeated cornflakes in a battle royale. Hey, man, with Hulk Hogan and Macho Man. I love Macho Man Randy Savage. Love and Roddy Piper. Love both of them. Anyway, and so Jake the Snake. Love Jake the Snake. Okay, let's continue. So Biden has a speech. Hey, man, I'm dropping out, man. And you know what? Everything's okay, man. And then media says, he's such a good man. He's such a good person. He's such a good human being. And then they say, who will it be? Then the hit pieces on everyone other than Hillary Clinton pop up, and then you have the Washington Post, New York Times. Hillary needs to step up. Hillary Clinton. And then the groupthink that went from Biden's fine to, oh my God, after the debate is not Hillary. Yes, Hillary, we love Clinton. It will take not even a week for every Democrat, every liberal, every progressive, every socialist and quote-unquote communist and phony leftist to say, not Hillary again, really? And the two, oh my God, yes, we love Hillary Clinton. It doesn't, you're talking about almost human beings who are basically artificial intelligence robots. They will vote for Clinton gleefully with enthusiasm. And I'm telling you, she's got a 10% chance. I'm telling you, a 10% chance of winning. I'm telling you.
Senior advisor to President Trump. Jason, how does the campaign see it? Is there any difference between running against Joe Biden or any other one of the radicals they may try to replace him with?
Not really. As you mentioned out in your monologue there, Joe Biden, you have the weakness and incompetence. With Kamala Harris, you have the weakness, the incompetence, but also the radical liberalism. And whereas Joe kowtows to all the liberals in California, Kamala Harris is actually a card-carrying member. But taking a step back, we saw the speech earlier today. Those clips are bad, and now these additional clips from ABC are even worse. Mark, I don't understand what Joe Biden's team is doing. Clearly his weakness is speaking. Okay, that seems to be an important thing if you're going to be president of the United States. So his team thinks that they can solve it by having him do more speaking. I don't get this at all. The one thing where I do get concerned, Mark, is for all this talk about Joe's incompetence, we're really losing sight of the plot that on day by day, we're having thousands and thousands of illegals pour.
They can't, part of the theater is the following. They can't simply say we propped up somebody who was not physically or mentally capable for 4 years, and then we were covering everything up, and then we just realized in one debate. They can't say that. Biden can't say, hey, man, I've been propped up, man. He can't say that. So there's going to be a song and dance. Hey, you should drop out. I'm not doing it, man. I'm not staying, man. And then eventually, when the media, because they govern and they exist through media and public relations. Democrats, their political party is basically a Hollywood theatrical performance, advertising, Madison Avenue, 24/7 public relations stunt. So, and groupthink. And they claim to have values here and there, but it's like, not really. But anyway, so what is he going to say? Okay, I'll leave. Bye. He has to pretend, and then a couple weeks of good articles, opinion pieces in the Washington Post, New York Times, CNN, MSNBC, Hillary Clinton, vote for her. She's off. She's 100% going to be the nominee.
Gone to hell ever since Joe Biden took over.
Is actually telling the Washington Post, a group of other Democrat Senator Mark Warner from Virginia is reportedly working to assemble a group of other Democrat senators to ask Biden to leave the race. Anonymous sources actually telling the Washington Post, the Virginia senator has told others that he is deeply concerned Biden is not able to run a campaign that could beat the former president. But really, I mean, shouldn't he then not even be the president?
Yeah, you make a great point. And by the way, Mark Warner, chairman of the Senate Intel Committee. Okay, if you're the chairman of the Intel Committee and you cannot tell that Joe Biden is cognitively impaired 3.5 years into his presidency, you shouldn't be in that spot. I just got to be on the level with you. But you're exactly.
When Mark Warner is saying that when you have a top Democrat, okay, influential, saying that Biden needs to go, this was not, coincidental.
Exactly right. If Joe Biden is too incompetent to run for re-election, that means he's too incompetent to be president of the United States now. Now, of course, Mark, you've been out there saying this. I've been saying it. Newsmax has been saying it. The entire world has seen what's going on with Joe Biden. But for all these Democrats, whether it be Mark Warner or even in the mainstream media, if I kind of repeat myself, they were all complicit in the cover-up.
So now the big story is that they think that Kamala Harris would be tougher for
Kamala Harris will remain vice president. Biden will remain president. You'll have a couple of articles in the Washington Post and New York Times saying Hillary should be president. Newsom, Whitmer, everyone else will say Hillary should be president. She will be the nominee. And it's all essentially, basically scripted. It's a theatrical performance. It's a complete farce. They don't even have a primary. And I've been saying for years he's going to be replaced, and I've been saying for years it's going to be Hillary Clinton 2024. Trump will face Hillary. He'll win. It could be close. Clinton is the only chance they have. Clinton actually did commit crimes with private servers. Trump did not. As a president with the power to declassify, Biden and Clinton did not have the power to declassify. Every legal scholar that actually is objective, looking at the unconstitutional guilty verdict, has stated a state cannot level an FEC crime without the FEC involved. He was not indicted by the DOJ. So how on earth can the state of New York convict him on a federal crime? It's impossible to do in our system of government. But anyway, this is what actual authoritarians do. But anyway, hit subscribe. I know it's not interesting to people now. They don't want to deal with it. I'm not the bearer of bad news. It's just obvious. Use process of elimination. God bless you all. Thank you so very, very much. Like I said, use process of elimination. Okay? Who has national name recognition? Who is able to fundraise? It's Hillary Clinton. It's not the others. Hit subscribe, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you so much. Oh, by the way, watch the upload today. Hit subscribe, everybody. Thank you so much.